out of the whole of the Middle East, the most brightest, intelligent students actually come from Palestine.
What a ridiculous statement to make. How do you know that? And anyway, how are they able to study so well, given they've been living in a starving occupation and in an open prison for the last 20 years, we've been told by people like you?
They see education as an act of resistance.
Brilliant.
And that's why some of the most brightest intelligence minds in the Middle East come from Gaza.
This clip right here is amazing and hilarious. Check it out. It's Julia Hartley Brewer having an interview / debate with a pro-Palestinian activist talking about all sorts of different things about Gaza and the situation over there. She's even going to join Greta Thunberg's flotilla. It's a lot of fun, a lot of good stuff being talked about, and I dare you not to laugh. So check out this clip over here. We'll watch it together and then talk about it. But first, hit that subscribe button over there in the corner. We'd love to stay in touch. Check this out.
According to the Home Secretary, I didn't know we expedited anything in this country. I made it actually happen and work efficiently. UK visa scheme being set up for students from Gaza and other young people fleeing the war there. Let's talk to pro-Palestinian activist Yvonne Ridley about that. Good morning to you, Yvonne.
Morning, Julia.
Thank you for joining us. I'm going to take a deep breath before this. I'm not entirely sure that we want to have a bunch of people, whether they're studying for a master's degree or not, coming from Gaza to come and study in this country. If we're going to be getting people out of Gaza, a war-torn region, state, whatever you like to call it right now, should they be the priority?
Well, when you look at the quality of the students that we're talking about students that have won scholarships to Ivy League universities, Harvard, Oxford, Cambridge. These are incredibly bright, gifted, talented people, and anywhere else in the world that they would be welcomed with open arms. But unfortunately, because it's Gaza, and they're not white, and they're not
white. That's why
there is sadly this.
Isn't it a concern that we're talking about people living in an area where they have been subjected to the most extraordinary propaganda from Hamas terrorists, and people are understandably wary about people coming from that region and possibly staying and then bringing their families along, and people are saying, I'm not sure we want these people here. I mean, Egypt don't want them. Jordan don't want any more of them. The Saudis don't want them. The Qataris only want the very rich ones, the billionaire leaders of Hamas, the Palestinians, those ones. They don't want ordinary Palestinians. Why do those countries not want them?
Well, I don't know. You'd have to ask them.
But we know why they don't want them, don't we?
We should welcome these students because across the whole, out of the whole of the Middle East, the most brightest, intelligent students actually come from Palestine.
What a ridiculous statement to make. How do you know that? And anyway, how are they able to study so well, given they've been living in a starving occupation and in an open prison for the last 20 years, we've been told by people like you?
They see education as an act of resistance.
Brilliant.
And that's why some of the most brightest intelligence minds in the Middle East come from Gaza.
So being subjugated by the Israeli state makes you brighter?
On education.
So no, you said it makes them brighter. You said they're brighter because they've been resisting, or they're resisting presumably the Israeli state. So are they brighter because of the Israeli state subjugating them?
No, not at all. The Israeli state has contributed nothing positive towards the occupation of Gaza.
They've been providing electricity, clean water, aid. They've done lots over the years.
Well, I said to you last time, Julia, getting in, and I was right.
No, over the last 20 years since they left. They've been occupied by Hamas. They've been in charge of Gaza, not Israelis.
It's not occupied by Hamas. It's occupied by Israel. And
Israeli troops left in the mid-2000s. Hamas have been in charge. Elected in the mid-2000s, not elected in the last 20 years, but
democratically elected in 2000.
And for a 20-year term, it would appear.
Yes. Well,
do you consider that the legitimate government of Gaza?
Very hard to hold an election during a war.
There wasn't a war for 20 years. There wasn't a war on October the 6th.
Sorry?
There wasn't a war on October the 6th, 2023.
there was a brutal occupation. Don't you read your history?
No, there wasn't an occupation. The Israelis left in 2005. There was an election in 2006.
They occupy the land, the sea.
No, they didn't. No, there were no Israeli forces in Gaza.
Cannot move around freely, even when Israel wasn't physically there.
They were still occupying it. So Israel is able to be both there and not there. They're Schrodinger's state, aren't they?
If you had visited Gaza during the Hamas rule, you would see that it is occupied by the air. There is an airport there which has been bombed to hell, and you can't fly into Gaza. There is a port, a seaport there, which has been there for years, and you can't sail.
And why did the Israelis make that access so difficult? Any thoughts on that?
Because they want to ethnically cleanse and wipe out.
Because Hamas was bringing in items to be used as weapons against Israel. You know that perfectly well. What do you make of Greta Thunberg and her mates off on another flotilla trip from Barcelona? They left on Sunday to go to Gaza. They had to turn back because there was too much wind. You couldn't make that up. They've now set off again yesterday, heading over to Gaza. They say they're bringing aid. Of course, they're not bringing much aid. There's more food on there for them than there is aid they're actually going to take. They hope to actually get to Gaza this time. The Israelis have said, if you try and enter our waters or even the waters around Gaza, we will arrest you. And this time, you're going to go to some prisons that you may not want to stay in. You won't be quickly deported. Is that legitimate? Is that justifiable?
Well, in a few hours' time, I will be flying from Manchester to Tunisia, and I am joining the flotilla. And furthermore, Italian dock workers have said, if Israel touches one boat in this flotilla, which is going to have hundreds of boats, by the way, if Israel touches one, they will shut down all of Europe. This is called solidarity, international community coming together for the people of Palestine. Israel is going to get so spanked, which is why it is accelerating its genocidal behaviour.
Genocide. We haven't got time for all of that nonsense. Do you think that the Israelis should let Greta and her mates arrive in Gaza and maybe leave them in Gaza?
Well, I will be on that flotilla, and if I'm left in Gaza, I won't be afraid, other than for the Israelis. What will be interesting is I'll be the first Western journalist allowed into Gaza.
No Western journalists have been into Gaza. They've been embedded with the IDF, same as any other war zone.
Well, we've seen the embedded IDF. They're not allowed to talk to the Palestinians. They're not allowed to film.
Well, I know people like Andrew Fox who've been in, and they've been in with the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, and they've spoken to local people. I know a number of people who've been in who've been able to do that. So that's simply not true.
The Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, which doesn't photograph any of its aid workers, doesn't photograph any of the recipients of the aid workers, and is being assisted in security by ISIS recruits, recruited by ex-convict Yasser al-Habab, who comes from a very large family in Rafah.
Well, you either want people to get aid or you don't want people to get aid. It seems to me that most people on your side of the debate would rather there wasn't any aid going in, because it gives you a bit more of a cause. Look, we'll have to do this again. What day are you actually flying out to join this flotilla?
More than 1,000 people have died.
No, I've only got about...
trying to collect aid.
Yep.
That is not how you deliver aid.
Oh, yeah, OK. Yvonne, when are you leaving to go and get on this flotilla?
And that's something else.
When are you leaving? I've got 10 seconds left. When are you leaving to get on this flotilla?
I am leaving to go on the flotilla. I'll be on the...
Oh, OK. I'm not going to get an answer in time. We're going to get to tell my producers so we can actually... we'll talk to you again before and get a bit more detail, and we'll just have someone to do the fact check.
Julia Hartley Brewer is amazing. I love how she asks all of these pointed questions about specifics about Gaza and what's going on over there. And she also asks it with the angle, knowing that anything that's going to be said is going to be complete nonsense. So she embeds within the question this like sarcasm that's it's just It's just great. Everything that comes out of this pro-Gaza activist's mouth is the same thing that you would find from any random activist. Nothing new, nothing nuanced ever here. The reason that Britain doesn't want Gazans to come is because they're not white. For where in the world did they get this stuff from? I have no idea. But it's good that we have people like Julia Hartley Brewer, who doesn't mince words, just goes right to the and calls out the nonsense. And that's what we need more of. So we need honest journalists that are tough and really dig directly into these activists in the way that they only know how. If you like this content overall, hit that subscribe button over there in the corner. We'd love to stay in touch. Take care.